really needs to be happening at this moment in time, guys, is that we need to be fighting back collectively against the commies rather than fighting one another over petty BS.
Yes, the question is about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt.
So there it is, guys. I'm endorsing Nikki Haley, president of Israel.
Guys, it seems that some things just have a way of coming full circle. Now, guys, I want you to know right now that this right here is a video more chronicling how we got here and explaining the situation at hand. But I also want to go ahead and address really quick why there was not a video out on Tuesday. And there's even going to be some updates at the end of the video. This video is not going to be that long. I just couldn't get one out. I had a lot of things going on. And, of course, it's now Tuesday night, and I'm getting this video out on Wednesday. And nothing has happened as far as somebody getting disciplined or reprimanded over this, but it looks like that little prophecy that Megyn Kelly had a while back during the whole Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Vivek Ramaswamy, Liz Wheeler ordeal, which I'll have to go back through and explain this video here. It looks like this where it could come to fruition, but there are also some people out there who do, in fact, believe that maybe this right here might actually help the brand out. However, a lot of people are saying that this right here is beef and that Candace, of course, is in the wrong. And then you got people saying that Ben Shapiro is in the wrong. Let me go ahead and tell you right now exactly what I think, and I'll give you guys my reasons why in this video. I think that Ben Shapiro is showing you who he really and truly is with this. But this is actually, I think, the, let's just say the boiling point of something that's been going on for a very long time. Now, a lot of people are looking at the situation, which has gone viral, and they're asking themselves the question. So what exactly has Candace Owens done this time to make Ben Shapiro go completely ape crap behind closed doors and also get filmed on TikTok calling her disgraceful? Well, here's a piece of it.
Well, I am here today to endorse Nikki Haley for president of Israel. I think she's earned that. I think Bibi Netanyahu is going through a very bad time right now. Support for Israel has virtually collapsed socially. If you're paying attention to the trends and you're paying attention to what people are watching, you're paying attention to the protests. And the one person that I think is capable of getting it back is Nikki Haley with enough money from foreign interest lobbies. So there it is, guys. I'm endorsing Nikki Haley, president of Israel.
Really weird, which is really funny, too, why they're going after her, because Matt Walsh also said this right here the other day.
This is not how people talk about their own countries. This is a uniquely modern American phenomenon. It's like a sickness, a mental sickness, where some of our leaders, or would-be leaders, profess greater admiration and love for and pride in foreign countries than their own. It's just a crazy thing to say.
Those clips were in response to Nikki Haley. Now, guys, I could do a 2-3 hour long special video on Nikki Haley and why it is that Nikki Haley is probably the biggest snake in the GOP. I mean, with Chris Christie, you at least know that he hates you. With DeSantis, he's more along the lines of just good old-fashioned existing. Tim Scott recently dropped out. He really wasn't doing a whole lot. And Vivek Ramaswamy, I think, is pretty well new to the GOP in the exact same way that I think that Candace Owens, to a certain extent, kind of sort of is too. Now, guys, I've done a couple of videos on Candace being critical of her, but I've also praised her in the past. As I've always said, my rule is that I will praise you when I think you are right, and I will call you out when I think you are wrong. I did do a video a while back saying that I thought that she would eventually fall. That was during the whole Crowder ordeal. But I got to go ahead and tell you right now that I don't blame Candace for feeling the way she has been feeling recently, especially about the situation in Israel and Gaza. Wait a minute. You're contradicting the little hell out of yourself based upon your previous videos. No. It's not as simple as you think. I have said this right before, that what the United States needs to do in this situation is acknowledge the fact that Hamas threw the first rock. Israel has always had a bond with the United States for a very long time. I do not believe in putting troops on the ground, but I do believe that we should continue to do the things that, quite frankly, we have been doing in this case. But I also remember former President Trump saying the other day that you need to just let this entire thing play out. I tend to agree with the former president, and I'll be explaining to you guys why here in this video here, because this is really more of a response to Shapiro and not throwing Candace under the bus or anything like that. But we need to explain how it was that we actually got to this point. So for a while, Candace has been at it when it comes to this topic of I can't really say the word here, even though I know that Susan Wojcicki is no longer in charge of YouTube. But then again, though, at the same time, I'm pretty sure that that right there alone may have got this video a yellow $sign. But still, at the same time, this area is not designed to be critical of any group or anything like that. It's designed to kind of break down exactly what's really and truly going on with this situation. Candace kind of took the side of Kanye West over a documentary that was released a while back on a certain topic. And of course, Kyrie Irving got in trouble for retweeting it. And Candace, for the most part, kind of took their side in it. It's been a long time. And then you had this recent blow up with Ramaswamy and, of course, the stuff about the college campuses, which was supposed to be a video that I was going to do asking the questions if college students should, in fact, be doxxed. But that video ended up taking over an hour of overall time in my overall memory capacity. So I had to kind of scrap that video for the time being. But I'm going to be giving you guys a bit of a brief rehash in this video. So make sure you guys stick around for the full thing. I'm going to try to get this video under 30 minutes. I'm going to try to get all my content between 20 to 30 minutes and sometimes even below going forward. I'll have more updates on that at the end. So basically, this entire situation has started over Nikki Haley, who has made some very, very strange warmongering type statements. Of course, the vast majority of those who vote Republican nowadays don't really want to go to war at this point in time. I have said before that I don't want to put troops on the ground, but I would be 100% okay with sending supplies to Israel, not Ukraine. I could care less about Ukraine. I've told you guys before, Ukraine, Russia, that's two turds fighting to be king turd on top of crap mountain. We should not get involved in that. Israel, on the other hand, has always had a special bond with the United States, and I've always been pro-Israel in that sense. Also, to go on top of this, it was Hamas who threw the first rock, but still at the same time, as Matt Walsh had pointed out in previous videos, there are things to question about the intelligence, which is why I think that maybe the best thing we could do at this moment in time, due to all the social media smoke right now, it might be best just to allow this entire thing to play out, let it end the way it's going to end, and then we will ask questions a little bit later on, because when you are engaged in war, when you are engaged in conflict, it is not a good idea to be throwing out all kinds of weird takes, which makes this next clip that I'm about to show you make Nikki Haley at first sound like she makes a lot of sense, but in reality, it's kind of a bad take, and I'll explain the reason why after you guys see it.
Office. The first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say. Accountability. And they know their pastor and their family members going to see it. It's going to help our kids. And
I have consistently said that I am not in favor of cancel culture. I am very, very pro-free speech. However, I am in favor of accountability. However, that does not mean that I agree with Nikki Haley in this circumstance. You see, anytime you go on social media, anytime you open up a YouTube, or if you have a YouTube page, or if you open up a Facebook or whatnot, guess what? You got to give away your email. If certain posts were flagged by the federal government, let's just go ahead and be honest, they're always watching. They would look at your email, they would look at the devices, and they would try to find out where it was connected to. So in a lot of ways, there's already been some form of accountability already established, which makes what Nikki Haley sound a little bit hyperbolic. It sounds a little bit crazy. Now, Nikki Haley has got a lot of baggage, okay? She's gotten a lot of money from a lot of different defense contractors. She's had her own scandals when she was governor of South Carolina. She also went out of her way to remove Confederate statues and the Confederate flag, which is a very, very big part of the heritage of the South, especially the Deep South, especially in South Carolina. I can already hear people saying that she was right to do so. I personally disagree with that. I think all statues need to stay up regardless. The reason why is because you need to be able to see where you came from. But then again, though, you got people out there who say that that actually plays into the whole argument against. I don't really know about that. We'll probably do a statues video in the future. But the thing is this right here. Nikki Haley is a warmonger. She talks very, very tough, kind of like right here.
for a second, just imagine that here the Israelis woke up and communities were bombarded. Families were murdered. Women and children were taken hostage, dragged through the streets. The elderly were taken. All of this has happened in front of everyone. on top of thousands of rockets that hit Israel. This should be personal for every woman and man in America. Why? Because when they did this surprise attack, when they took these hostages, when they murdered these families, they were celebrating. And what were they celebrating? They were saying death to Israel, death to America. This is not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on America because they hate us just as much. And what we have to understand is this is the reason that we have to unite around making sure our enemies do not hurt our friends.
I would not call the attack an attack on me. I would not call it an attack on America itself. I would call it an attack on someone that America has been allies with a very, very long time. But that may sound a lot like what Nikki said, but I don't think it's enough for the United States to put troops on the ground, which is exactly what Nikki Haley wants. Let's go back in time, okay? Before I get to Shapiro, let's go back in time. The year is 1991. 1991, the Gulf War. Saddam Hussein, while our troops were in Kuwait, about to push all the way to the edge, and by the way, I'm one of the people who believes that we should have went ahead and taken care of that problem then, Saddam Hussein fired Scud missiles into Israel. The minute this happened, President George Herbert Walker Bush immediately got on the phone to the Prime Minister and the President of Israel at that time and told them to stand down and do not move. You see, the fear was that Israel would respond and they would get involved in a conflict that, quite frankly, we did not want them to get involved in. We were, for the most part, very, very much responsible for their statehood with Great Britain in 1948. It was the Arab-Israeli War. Not going to get into that right now. That's a later video for a later date. That will be much, much more detailed and much, much more nuanced. We supported them during the Six-Day War in 1967. We also supported them in 1973, the Arab-Israeli War that went on there, the Yom Kippur War. There was the situation in Beirut, which, by the way, we did lose 300 U.S. Marines and U.S. Navy personnel being over there in a barracks bombing. We have also had other situations involving the Middle East, so people are automatically a little bit skittish about getting involved. President Trump comes in, he gets elected 2016, 2017, 2018 timeframe. What did he do? He moved the embassy to Jerusalem, which is something that Christian conservatives like myself had wanted done for a very long time. So when former President Trump says something along the lines of, you need to just let it play out, that means you need to let it play out, because the truth be told is this right here. Israel can, in fact, we've given them so many weapons they can defend themselves. The most I would want to do is have a fleet in the Mediterranean and a fleet in the Indian Ocean for the sole purpose of keeping Iran and Syria and possibly Egypt on the sidelines. Egypt does not seem like they want to get involved. But once again, you got to ask them a question. Why is it that none of these other nations, none of these nations like Egypt, why are these other nations with Sunni Muslims, why do they not want to take in Palestinians? Well, they know what the hell they would be inheriting if they did so. And Israel, of course, just halted themselves to allow more Palestinians to get out of that region. So while some people may scream genocide, I think what the hell is really going on as a combat veteran myself is that Israel's actually being a lot more reasonable than people are giving them credit for. Wow, this right here sounds like you're condemning Candace. No. Candace's take has been more along the lines of asking the questions of what is it about my take that's wrong. That's really how Candace has kind of approached this situation. So when Ben Shapiro says this one more time at an event where people are, how do I say, not knowing that they're on camera, and of course it gets back to her, yeah.
And then the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
People think that this right here is who Ben Shapiro really and truly is. Candace, by the way, recently had a Jewish comedian on. Okay, she recently had one, and she was asking simple questions. We'll get to that here in a second on what about her takes that are actually so offensive, all that type of stuff. But the thing is this right here. This entire thing really goes back a lot further. I mentioned the Kanye West thing. I mentioned Kyrie Irving. Well, recently there was a dust-up between her and Megyn Kelly. This way was the video that I had planned 2 weeks ago. It would end up being over about an hour long. I couldn't even put it in my own storage capacity. I got to buy a new hard drive. And basically, it boiled down to Vivek Ramaswamy saying that the students that were going to protest should not be doxxed and should not lose any possibility at a good job going down the road. Now, this take right here seemed a little bit soft. Megyn Kelly, she called it out. Then Candace Owens called out Megyn Kelly. And then, of course, Liz Wheeler, she jumped in. Jason Whitlock also jumped in. Liz Wheeler, of course, she had really the most correct take in the entire situation. By the way, I like Ramaswamy, but I felt that when Liz Wheeler said that he was looking at this through a libertarian lens, I thought she was actually correct. Now, do I think the students should have been doxxed? I don't think that doxing the pro-Palestinian students may have been the best idea, but I do think punishment was in order. Put them out for a semester, put them out for a school year. When their values begin to change or when they learn a little bit better, then they can come right back. But still, at prestigious universities like Harvard and Princeton and some of our better universities, it's really quite sickening that we had so many attacks on pro-Israel or Israeli students or even Jewish. There was even an incident where students found themselves locked up in the attic, in the top floor. They basically recreated the Diary of Anne Frank. So do us all a favor and spare us the BS. While I do agree with Ben on most issues and most stuff that is actually said, it's when you get to takes like this right here where it begins to get a little bit hypocritical.
They say that I want America to fight wars for Israel. Nope. Nope. First of all, Israel can take care of herself. If Israel is forced to the wall, the possibility of nuclear exchange is extremely high. That is why it is very important that the United States provide the material aid to Israel and that they also dissuade Hezbollah.
Well, Shapiro will sit there and talk about all the letters he's gotten from doctors from Florida, all the doctors who are heading to Israel to work on those who have been wounded, those who are dead and dying. I got to ask Ben a question. For all your bluster, dude, why haven't you picked up a rifle and why have you not gone over there? Last I checked, Israel had a mandatory conscription service, meaning that everybody in the nation of Israel does, in fact, fight the war. That's always been my biggest criticism of him. I'm a veteran of two deployments to Iraq, and I can tell you right now that while wars may need to be fought from time to time, it is best that we don't get involved in every single war that we can. By the way, Ben's not going to be fighting in those. He's basically going to be a cheerleader. He's not going to be looking at the families who may have lost a son or may have lost a daughter. Every time I turn around, we got to hear this type of nonsense from him. Ben, what is it? Can Israel defend itself or can Israel not defend itself? Like I said before, the most I've talked about is just playing referee to keep a couple other nations from getting involved. You, on the other hand, want the United States to actually get involved full-throated, put troops on the ground and all that stuff. By the way, we've already got advisors over there. I mean, what the hell else do you want, dude? By the way, we all know that Nikki Haley is your spirit animal. I mean, you push Ron DeSantis like crazy, but we all know that you really and truly want Nikki Haley. So when Candace Owens says this right here,
so there it is, guys. I'm endorsing Nikki Haley, president of Israel.
It's actually 100% justified in saying it, okay? Yes, it was tongue-in-cheek. Nikki Haley right now at this moment in time is getting a lot of money from a lot of different defense contractors. People have theorized that the real reason why we stayed in Iraq as long as we did, and they may have some actual merits here. Some of this I do think is actually truthful, is so that way the United States could continue to test weapons and all stuff. Now, I'm not saying this be anti-military industrial complex. I am actually pro the military industrial complex. I don't like the way it's being used. For example, the military-industrial complex has been known to produce medical supplies. It has been known to give us certain advancements overall technology. I like the fact of having an extremely strong military. As a matter of fact, I think the military should, in fact, be bigger, at least the boots on the ground force. And I do love the idea of expanding our Air Force and our overall Navy because it is the ultimate deterrent that keeps us strong and keeps us safe and keeps us free. While at the exact same time, we do need a bigger Marine Corps and we do need much, much tougher training. We need a bigger Coast Guard and we do need to stop the social justice warring of our U.S. military, and we need tougher weight standards in the U.S. Army as well. So Candace, of course, is basically saying what a lot of us say when Nikki Haley gets on the stage. Do we have to hear Nimrata Haley run her mouth? By the way, I don't even know if Nimrata is even her real name, but all I have to say is that it matches, it fits. She's a very, very, very neurotic woman. You couple this recent take up, you would obviously see that Nikki Haley, when you take everything into consideration, when you look at this right here is just another one of those incidents that the Daily Wire has had for a while where they kind of want to throw Candace under the bus. Now, before I show you these 2 minutes of Candace basically asking the questions about her takes, I want you guys to know this right now. I personally think that when I showed you earlier about Matt Walsh, when he basically asked the question, Ben didn't come after him for a reason. The reason why Ben did not come after him is because, let's just go ahead and be honest. Candace Owens criticized the DeSantis camp a while back, okay? She criticized him, thought they were a bunch of idiots. She did not like the way he was running his campaign. She did not see it, so she basically fell back into the Trump camp. That leaves Candace Owens and Michael Knowles, the two pro-Trump voices. And Matt Walsh, of course, is one of the pro-DeSantis voices to go along with Shapiro and Jeremy Boring. Not to mention the fact that Ben Shapiro is still in charge for the most part over there. It says Jeremy Boring is the CEO, but let's be honest, we all know that Ben Shapiro is in fact running things. As a matter of fact, we've talked about them being controlled opposition on several occasions. I will have a video on controlled opposition out in the future where I will definitely be focusing in for the most part on Ben Shapiro. But Candace had a Jewish comedian on last week. Now, pay very close attention to these next 2 weeks, and let's see if she's actually unreasonable with this, because this is the type of stuff that we're talking about when we mean controlled opposition.
So reminiscent for me of me saying I'm a black conservative, and they say, well, even to be a black Republican, it's
Of course.
There are a lot of people in America that are sitting here going, okay, well, can you answer why Jews are so special? Because as white people in this country on university campuses, we are being taught that we are not allowed to have a voice. We have had to endure exactly what you're talking about, BLM. We've endured much worse than you have because it's in the actual textbooks. We are being told that we are systematically racist, that we are born wrong because of the color of our skin. And if we say anything, we'll lose everything. This is the typical experience on white campuses. So this is not whataboutism. This is actually what we have been fighting for years. So it sort of arrived as, I think, for a lot of Americans, a surprise when they're saying, well, now that it's about Israel, which is something that's overseas, we need to, hand these university professors, we need to do something about this issue. Why weren't we trying to correct course on this issue? Why weren't donors pulling their funding out of these universities? Why weren't these same things being said for these last, I would say, 8 years of rampant BLM, white man can't do anything right, actively being taught in the classrooms? So there are people that are asking that question now. What I have said is that explicit calls for genocide, which was stunning to me to see that in Congress, are completely wrong. It is frankly crazy. I have not weighed in on the IDF's response in the same way that I have consistently said through every war, Ukraine and Russia, I don't want to be involved. I have said I don't want to be involved in Israel and Palestine, all these conflicts. My consistency seems to offend people, right? But I haven't made a single tweet or a single comment on IDF's response in Palestine. I haven't said a single thing about that. I have said it is always sad when a child dies. And the lack of humanity that I have seen from both sides has been very troubling for me. But to say that I have to weigh in and suddenly wave an Israeli flag and say things that, because you decide that you get to use my platform because it's personal to you, how is that fair to people? How is that fair? And then to go a step further and to suggest that it might be anti-Semitic, which is basically silence is violence, as a leftist tactic, to me feels very...
Before I respond to any of this, I need you to know right now, Candace Owens has got her own long line of simps. The Officer Brandon Tatum, Anthony Brian Logan. These people can't do anything without her saying anything. They have to piggyback on her, all that type of stuff there. I was going to bring that up in the previous video because, like I said before, I'm going to praise you when you get something right. I'm going to call you out when you get something wrong. This is a situation where I don't think Candace is fully wrong or right in, but I do like the fact that she's at least asking questions, which I'm going to get to in the next segment. But here's the thing. The mainstream media has been pushing anti-whiteism for a very long time. I myself have not really truly done a video on this. The Scott Adams thing, he basically was telling people to get out of the cities when he did the whole get the fuck away from black people. I tried to say that in a very, very special way because of the YouTube algorithm. But still, when he had his little moment, people went after him. Okay? And look, you point out something, you point out the obvious, next thing you know, you're going to get blamed for racism. They've been pushing this anti-whiteism stuff, BLM, all that type of crap there, which, by the way, BLM is siding with the Palestinians here, okay? So I think that Candace has got some very, very legitimate points, and I believe that one of the biggest points that we need to get across is that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We've got a border crisis going on. We don't need to be getting into another war. We've got all kinds of people coming in this country right now that we, quite frankly, don't know where they came from, and they do, in fact, need to be vetted. And you just had an impeachment vote for the current DHS Secretary, Mayorkas, get completely blown up by 8 Republicans in Congress, 8 rhinos. Another reason why is I don't think Republicans need to go for impeachment, which we'll be talking about here soon, because you're not going to be able to get it done because of the lack of unity in your own side of Congress and, of course, the Senate. Fact of the matter is that Candace Owens, for the most part, is just simply asking questions. She's just simply bringing up points. And while you may or may not agree with every one of them, it definitely does not warrant Ben Shapiro saying that her actions have been disgraceful. You got the other side of the coin. Now, guys, I'm going to play this right here. This was Tim Pool. He was giving some commentary on it. I would not say that this event has been scripted or anything, because Ben was basically caught on a TikTok talking to a private group of people saying this. But let's watch this really quick. Let's respond and give some final thoughts here.
I get what the deep state is doing. I get why they fund this, but I don't want to be. And I don't think you want to be either. And I think that's Candace Owens' point. Now, Ben Shapiro says that what she said is absolutely disgraceful and it's faux sophistication. I think he's probably more referring to calling what's going on a genocide, or saying that someone called for genocide. I'm like, that's like, it's such a bold and powerful statement. But there was someone in Congress who basically talked about just wiping out Gaza. Look, man, it really comes down to this. Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens debating and arguing is one of the best possible things for the Daily Wire. It shows a diversity of opinions within the company. It creates a massive press cycle for the Daily Wire. It generates attention, and that's just it. Healthy debate and criticism between their personalities ultimately benefits the brand tremendously. The people who are pro-Israel are going to be like, Ben's the man, and I want to watch Ben Shapiro. And the people who don't like Ben Shapiro and are America First are going to be like, Candace Owens. You see what the Daily Wire does? This is called winning. No, I mean it. If the purpose of everything we do is so that people have the right to express their opinions, that means Ben has every right to criticize Candace Owens, and Candace Owens has every right to make the statements she's making that Ben doesn't like. And the Daily Wire will benefit from it. And I hope they do.
We need to be united when it comes to fighting the radical left. We need to be united when it comes to fighting the communists, okay? That right there is what we need to do. We need to also acknowledge that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to be doing that there. Debate is healthy to have within one's party discussion, but I also think if you're debating people who've already got their minds made up on a certain issue, it might not be a good idea, because the only thing you might do is just inflame the situation. Just kind of accept the fact that you're not going to agree with this. Look, I got a lot of people who disagree with my take on this right here, people that I know, but we've decided not to take the gloves off and get to a fist fight or nothing like that, because we need to find ways to actually unite to defeat the commies itself, the radical left. Now, this right here may seem a little bit hyperbolic given these two here, but we have no idea what's going to happen over the next couple of days, which is why I may do a follow-up video to this one right here, because there's some things could, of course, happen. There's also the question if Ben Shapiro would even try to have a discussion or debate with Candace. Ben, if you try to ask him to debate or something like that right there, he'll basically pull the whole how many followers do you have. Same thing with Matt Walsh too. So while a debate does in fact sound like maybe this is something these two should do, I don't see it happening. But with that right there being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and try to halt this video now. My last thought on this issue is that I don't know what they're going to do. It wouldn't surprise me if Candace did get into some form of trouble for this, or if they don't try to browbeat her into some form of, some form of mea culpa here. But then again, though, knowing her, I don't see it happening. But then again, though, I could be wrong. This right here to me, and I want to go back really quick before I end the video to Megyn Kelly's situation between these two, because I was showing you guys some of the tweets. This to me almost felt like the right side version of what the left would call a struggle session. Now, I've got a struggle session video scheduled for next year. This is not what the hell's going on. It seems like it. People think that that's what's going on, but it's not. However, what's going on between Hassan Piker and Ethan Klein, on the other hand, that actually fits that mold, which we'll probably do a video on later on this weekend. That stuff has already occurred, but I think more stuff is about to happen, and I want to chronicle that one properly before we really and truly take that one on. I'm hoping to get that video out on Friday. This is kind of part of the updates here. Fact of the matter is that I don't think Candace deserved to have Ben Shapiro do this, but then again, though, there may be an actual heart-to-heart here. I'm not entirely sure, but still at the same time, I want to keep you guys posted on that one. It seems to me like this right here was going to eventually happen. It was going to eventually occur, and one person at the Daily Wire was going to blow up. Let's be honest. It was always going to be Ben, because Ben is really the one who runs the bingo over there. But still, though, it seems to me like this right here may be a little bit out of balance for him. We should kind of be uniting and kind of using our better judgment, our reason to know that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can have this discussion. Let's beat the commies first, then have the discussion afterwards. Let's do that first. I think it's basically just quite a little bit too emotional on Ben's part is what it is. with that right there being said, just a quick update here. I'm going to be trying to put out one video every day until the Christmas break. That's actually my goal, for the exception of Thanksgiving and maybe Black Friday. I'm not sure yet. The 2 videos a day thing might not be a good idea at this moment in time. The reason why is because I know that a lot of my subscribers can't get a hold of both videos. So what I want to do is release roughly 1 video a day between the 3 and 6 o'clock hour, probably at 4 or 5. So that way it gives you an opportunity to actually catch up with things. And not to mention the Christmas break that's coming up here soon. I know you guys have got families based upon the age demographic of the channel. I know you guys have got families. I know you guys have got to make the money, got to get the paychecks. You got to go buy stuff for the kids and stuff. So I kind of understand this time of year, things kind of get a little bit slow on the channel, but that's kind of what I wanted to update you guys on going forward for the rest of the year. Try to get at least 1 video out per day. This probably even includes Sundays to kind of help you guys kind of catch up on the content, because I know how YouTube's algorithm works. Sometimes they don't even let you know if the channel, if there's even if they don't even sometimes they even notify you guys that the video is being released. Also, the channel name change. Right now, I'm leaning towards dissociative indifference or dissociative to societies or societal indifference. I'm kind of leaning towards something like that right there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. With that right there, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts, and I'll see you guys later.